folks, and welcome to Handpan Fundamentals. I'm Rosie, and today we're taking a deep dive into the minor scale. This is a D minor. There are lots of different sorts of minor scales, so watch closely. Some of them even have slightly different notes in, even if they've got the same starting note. But if your handpan is a Kurd, Annaziska, or an integral, this is the one for you. And there might be some other names as well, I'm not sure. If your handpan is in D, this big note in the middle is a D, perfect, relax, sit back, there is nothing more for you to worry about. If your note in the middle is different, it's an E or an F or a C sharp, don't panic. Write down every single one of your notes in alphabetical order. You don't need to know music theory, you just need to know your alphabet. If your first note is D, the next one will be E, F, G, etc, etc. You might have some sharps and flats floating around in there, but don't worry about that either. Just go through the alphabet, when you get to A, go back around. Then number them, with 1 as your ding. Now whenever I say notes 1, 3 and 5, I might mean D, F and A. But for you, they're going to be different ones, so just translate as we go. All set up? Great, let's get to know D minor. The first thing to do is work out what our notes are. Right in the middle, I've got a D, that's number 1, our first degree of the scale. Now, unlike a piano, the next note isn't a C. That's what it would be if they were all written out, but we skip some notes out. That's part of what makes the handpan sound so lovely and distinctive. We're skipping out a bunch of notes to jump up to our A. Next up, we've got our B flat. That's only a semitone apart. They're quite close together. After B flat, jumping up to C. After C, another D. That's the same note happening twice. Such an important note, we've got to hear it 2 times. After D, we've got our E. After E, F. After F, G. And finally, A. So we really do walk up exactly in sequence. Listen, this is what it sounds like when you play the notes on the piano. But our main note, our root note, is still D. So it sounds nice and at home there. So we've got D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. Don't worry as to what the B flat means, or a C sharp, or a D sharp, or any of those little things that we put on after a letter. All you need to know is write out every single letter name. That's all we need to do. We're going to work out the chords off of those letter names. So the first chord is D minor. Stands to reason. This is our home chord. We're going to spend a lot of time here, so let's get to know D minor. So for this we have D, F and A, or 1, 3 and 5. So find your Ds, find your A's, and find your F's. I've only got one F. That is our D minor chord, chord 1. When you play more than one note at the same time, or an arpeggio is when you play them one after another. For now, don't worry about the difference. If you've got fingers and hands long enough to stretch to play them all at the same time, great. If you don't, or you've got more notes than you need, just play them one at a time. But start with the letter name if you can, or with the lowest note. Stepping up in our scale, we're going to look at the chord of E. So for this one, we need 2, 4 and 6. E, G and B flat. This gives us our diminished chord. That is an instantly unstable chord. Sounds quite spooky, it sounds a little bit uneasy. Step up to our next chord, F. We have 3, 5 and 7. F, A and C. Here we have F major. This is our first major chord, and notice how different and complete it sounds versus the slightly uneasy minor sound. Stepping up again, we've got G minor, or the fourth chord. Fourth chord is a minor chord. 4, 6, 1. 4, 6, 1, or G, B flat, and D. Now when your chord has the ding in it, normally we don't play that when we're exploring around because it gives it such a loud resonant sound that it kind of makes the chord sound a little bit unusual. The note that's named, so G in this case, is the most important one in the chord, so we want to hear that the most. Listen to the difference between this, no ding, and with the ding. Chord 5, a minor chord. We've got the 5th degree, the 7th degree, and the 2nd degree. So for us that's A, C, E. Chord 6, this is a major one. We've got 6, we've got 1, we've got 3. B flat, D's, and our F. Having a major chord, again, it's got a bit more of a whole sound to it. Chord 7, we've also got a major chord. So that is our 7, our 2, and our 4. So that's our 7, our 2, and our 4. Or C, E, and G. Let's try all of those chords one after another to really get them under your hands. The most important thing to remember is those chord shapes. If you go off and you play another Kurd, Annaziska, or integral, handpan, tonguepan, RAV, whatever, these chord shapes are going to translate. Even though the notes are different, the relationship between them is the same. So just learning that, learning those intervals and those shapes, means you're a super versatile player. And of course, you know your own instrument better too, which is important. So we're going to go through chord 1, D. Chord 2, diminished one, remember? Chord 3, major. Chord 4, minor. Chord 5, minor. Chord 6, major. Chord 7, major. 1 again. You don't need to know anything about music theory, but you can just use your ears to hear that there's certain groups of chords. So we've got our minor chords. Chord 1, chord 4, that's the G. Chord 5, that's our A. We've also got our major chords. Chord 3, that was F. Chord 6, that was B flat. And chord 7, that was C. We've also got our diminished chord. You can kind of think of that as a double minor. So we've got E for that one, chord 2. And as you move through, you've kind of got these collections, which are a quite useful way to organise your thoughts. It can seem a bit of a mystery with the handpan, knowing what you're playing. So this is just a way to organise them into chords. But we don't even need to think about all of the chords. Let's just look at a few of the important ones. We're just going to move through a really simple chord progression. 1, 4, 5, 6. Simple, straightforward. And this is just an example. There are loads of really common ones that are used a lot, but you can make your own variation using these chords or any ones you pick. But we're just going to look at this. 1, 4, 5, and 6. Chord 1 is D. Chord 4 is G. add a little bit of a rhythm. Let's change. Going to A. Now to B flat. Chord 1. Chord 4. Chord 5. Chord 6. And back to 1. And we don't just have to play chords. Within the chords, we can use these higher notes to pick out a melody. So even staying within the chords that we're using, either the one we're in or the one we're just about to go to, you can start to build up a tune, so it doesn't just have to sound really simple. Go 1. Really try and explore. Just because you're playing the same 4 chords doesn't mean you can't vary up the style. And have a listen to different pop songs that do the same trick. Very different songs can have the exact same notes in, but they change them up. Has a very different feeling to organising your notes in these chords is such an important step. Once you understand these rules, you can break them, you can mix them up, you can do whatever. But for now, challenge yourself and really stick within these chord groupings. You'll be amazed at how creative you can be when you're forced to constrain yourself. I hope that's helpful. A quick look through the way to arrange the chords in D minor, or any minor handpan scale. Any notes that you've got, you'll be able to organise them in this way. If it's useful, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!